Good morning, everybody. Today on Outdoors with Aaron, we're going to the Gordan Natural Area near Westchester, Pennsylvania. And we're going to take a pretty large loop that goes around the whole entire property. Maybe stop along the way and show you some interesting finds. But the main thing is just get everybody outdoors today. If it's not with your family or by yourself, at least you'll be able to get outdoors with me. All right? So I'm really not quite sure how this trail hike is going to turn out. There's so many interesting things in the Gordan Natural Area that sometimes I get distracted and maybe taking the same loop over and over. So I'm going to take this kind of freestyle, and then I'll show you at the end of this video whereabouts we walk today, all right? Let's keep moving. This trail in the beginning meanders around. There's a little sitting area that you can reach by just going off to the left. This less used trail brings you out to a bench so you can sit when the creek's really running relatively fast, or there's a lot of volume of water coming down through there. It's a pretty nice place to sit, as long as you can get in there before or after the mosquitoes. All right, let's keep moving up this trail. Now we're starting to get a little bit more into the woods, and we can take some time and check out some fungi, some animals, and stuff like that. I just wanted to let everybody know the purpose of this channel and why I started it. And it is so that I can share my experiences when I'm out on the trail. I'm out outdoors, whether I'm in New York, Pennsylvania, Colorado, maybe even different parts of the world. The main point is when I'm out on these hikes, nature walks, or just experiencing the environment that I'm in at the time, sometimes I have some really interesting thoughts that come up or experiences. That's what I'd like to share with you guys on this channel. So stick around, we're gonna keep going on this hike, and hopefully we can find some interesting stuff for you too. As you come to the top of the hill, you'll see there's a split. Now if you go to the left, this brings you down really close to the creek. We might loop back on that specific trail, but if you go to the right, this is the trail that keeps you going on the, I guess what they call self-guided tour, and it ends up turning into the Rams Trail. Let's head on that one. I did find some fungi already. I'll let you see where they are. You can easily pass these types of fruiting bodies, especially in the fall. If you're in a place where the leaf litter is kind of just tannish and not that expressive in colors like the maples and things like that, you can easily walk right past these. So I'll show you one that I found, and it's a pretty interesting find. Let's take a look at it. So here it is. You can't necessarily see that anything is happening down here. And then you get closer and realize this is actually a mushroom. And there's several of them. There's even one a little bit further to the left, right by that branch. But walking past this quickly, you wouldn't have recognized it at all. This trail is just running pretty much parallel to the creek, and the lower part, I think the lower trail. And at this point, we're just making our way through the forest And at some point in the future, we're going to kind of go to the right, which is heading up the hill, and that will hook us into the Rams Trail. Let's keep going. All right, at this point, there's a trail that comes a little bit in from the left. That hooks into the lower trail next to the creek. We're gonna stick on this upper trail and head a little bit further over to the right side. We're gonna head on up to the right, but I stopped for a moment, and if I look behind me, going up this trail to the left, you're gonna see a bridge that takes you to the very last part of the trail next to the creek and dumps out on a athletic field in Westchester University. So we're gonna keep on wrapping around this Ram Trail, and it's a really, really nice hike. Lots of woodpeckers and other types of in the spring and summer wildflowers. In the winter we're getting more fungi and stuff like that. But it's a pretty nice hike, 48 degrees. Really, I've seen 2 people all morning, and I've seen them oftentimes, so they're residents here that come and visit this great Gordan Natural Area. Let's keep on moving. One of my favorite things to do, regardless of the weather or the season, is to spend at least 5 minutes a few times during a hike to stop in a certain type of habitat, whether it's by the stream or there's a lot of bird activity, something like that. Sit, stand, do whatever, just absorb for 5 to 10 minutes your surroundings. Like right now I'm hearing a lot of chatter from a few different types of bird species, but in the background there's this constant cackling noise in the distance of a humongous, probably blackbird or crow population. I think they're called a murder of crows, and I can hear them in the distance, so it's a really interesting sound. I'm going to spend just a few minutes doing what I just said and take this all in, all right? We'll get back to hiking in just a minute. I thought it might be interesting to take a little detour off this Rams Trail and head left. There's a trail that goes off to the left, not quite as of a used trail, but it goes out towards the creek, one of the inlets to the creek. We're gonna head over there and see if anything interesting is over there. Then we'll head back to this point and onto the Rams Trail. Yeah, so you come to this creek crossing. This way heads down to the main creek, runs along the athletic fields, and this direction, of course, is where it starts feeding from further upstream in the forest. Found some of these fungi in the woods. The thing that's really interesting about these is that the underside, there's these really incredible pores that you wouldn't necessarily see if you didn't flip this over. It may look like a regular polypore, but this one indeed has some really interesting pore structures. We have turned around. We're heading back to Ram's Trail, and once I get to that intersection, I'll let you see what that looks like, and then we'll head up the hill, and then we have another intersection. We have a decision to make whether we're going around the whole entire outside loop of Ram's Trail or if we're going to cut it off and get onto the Woodpecker Trail, which is a really, again, interesting habitats that are in there, namely the woodpeckers that are along this trail. Let's figure out what we're going to do when we get to that point, but let's head back onto the Ram's Trail. So we're continuing up this incline. This is a great spot that if you want to get your heart really racing, you can pick up the speed and carry it the whole way up through the Woodpecker Trail where it intersects the service road. The service road cuts right straight through the Gordan Natural Area. So you can get a really good workout doing that. I'd rather just take my time, enjoy this hike, and realize that I've got another hour or more on the trail. Plenty of time to bring that heart rate up. At this point, I'm just trying to enjoy the really, really beautiful early morning environment here. And let's just keep on moving through. Hopefully you're enjoying this and we can show you some more interesting things. This intersection, you have to make some kind of decision. You can tell by this fence post here that you're at the intersection where to the left side I can head on to the most outer loop of Ram's Trail, or if I take this inner side to the right, that's going to take me straight up through Woodpecker Trail. Right now, let's head on to this extended loop of the Ram's Trail. Thank you all for sticking around, following me on this hike. Oftentimes on the hike, though, it's not necessarily even the visual stimulation that makes me kind of get in the zone, but it's actually the lack of stimulation that provides me just the touch of quiet that I can kind of sometimes even solve problems that I had been working on for days. And maybe not necessarily that it's came to me more quickly, but way more easily. So oftentimes that's what I use as a way to get outside and free my mind so I can think about things. Do you guys go on hikes, walks? Do you do things that allow you to get in the zone like that? Some people, even if they're ironing or doing laundry, that repetitious kind of work, they can get in a zone and then put their focus on something else. What do you guys do to get in that zone? It'd be interesting to find out. Let's keep on moving and see if there's some interesting stuff on this trail. So there's some mitigation of this trail. This big log here was not there even a year ago. They had some trees come down in a storm, and they've used it to block off this initial, the heavily used trail that goes down by the stream, and block that off and have created an alternate route, which everybody I think has taken on quite readily, and that brings you in this direction. You can see in the far distance another log, and that log is again used to limit people from going that original route next to the stream. Now this snakes around through a lot of vegetation, bushes that in the summertime, there's just so much overhang. It's nearly impossible to get through this without hitting bunches of spider webs or vines and poison ivy potentially coming over at you. This time of year, it's really great because there's really nothing going on in terms of new vegetation or growth. So everything has really died back. You can see the ground better, the leaf litter, and it's just kind of more enjoyable to look the whole way across the sides of the trail and see inside of the woods and what's happening. Let's just keep moving and enjoying this. Thanks for sticking around. Okay, we've come to the service road. If we go to the right, that heads back to the parking area. What we want to do is continue straight ahead, and this is the outside loop of that Rams Trail. Let's keep going. At this point, you can either branch off to the left, I think that's going more east, and it has to do with some apple orchard trail, or you can stay on the Rams Trail. So we're going to stay on the Rams Trail and keep on moving forward. One of the things that you really need to be aware of is your surroundings, how to dress properly. I always layer up and keep a really thin shell or inner layer. Sometimes it's silk, sometimes it's a polyester, but regardless, on these mornings where it's under 50 degrees, it's pretty chilly. So putting on those layers enables you to, keep really comfortable during the beginning part of your hike. And then if the sun does come out and you get warm, you could strip that down and easily roll it up and put it into a pack, or in my case, just a little waist pack. Let's keep on moving and enjoying this beautiful day. I have a question for all you outdoor enthusiasts. Do you have a specific spot that you may sit or an object you may touch to kind of ground yourself in your surroundings? Mine is up ahead, and typically I stop here for a couple minutes, at least 2-3 minutes, and I think about the aspects of this specific rock, how it was developed from just grains, just particles, to the point where it was part of an incredible mountain, and now it has been broken down into this boulder size that I could actually touch. I put all that into perspective, and sometimes it just pulls me away from all the daily stress. Also gives some kind of celebration to the earth, however you want to describe it. Do you have something like that on hikes and different environments that you frequent? Let me know in the comments. I'll let you invite you to look at the one that I have set up as my kind of sacrificial site, so to speak. Let's take a look at it. This is my stone that I come to, and make sure that I place my hand up here. This is kind of where I put my hand, and I hold it there, and I just think kind of about all the aspects of this rock, how it got here. I spend some time, and I'll do that right now, and then we'll get back on the hike. Well, I wanted to thank you all for coming at least this far on the hike with me. It seems as if I have run out of some time that I thought I'd have. Enjoying myself so much out here that I am kind of going to take a truncated version of this hike. And at Ram's Trail, it intersects Woodpecker and goes on this kind of interesting loop up near some urban area. And I think we'll choose that route. So up ahead, I'll show you where that intersection is. Just showing you a little bit of the kind of old crusted over puffballs that are kind of hiding on this tree among the leaf litter. If you're walking past and not really paying attention, you wouldn't even have seen these. It's at this point where we have to make a decision. We're either gonna go right, we could take that up to Woodpecker Trail. You can continue on Ram's Trail and go back to the parking lot. We're gonna choose this other intersecting loop and head out that way. Takes just about as much time as the other portion of this trail, and that way we can also see some other interesting habitat. As you can see by the video, there's a lot more sunshine here, and that's because we're in some kind of managed area where there's power lines above, and we have that little break. Lots of times there's milkweed and other types of wildflowers and other type of creatures that are here. A lot of bird activity most of the time. But then as you start going back up into the forested areas, you are met by a really interesting stand of bamboo. Let's check that out. All right, typically this is my favorite part of the trail where it splits off over the top, takes along a really nice loop, and meets back at the bridge at the bottom of this trail. We're going to truncate that, as I said before, and we're going to actually just head back to the parking area and finish this hike up. All right, that about wraps it up. 2 miles, it took about an hour and 40 minutes. That's pretty typical of me. It takes a long time for me to go a short distance because I'm always out there investigating the habitat and really hunkering down sometimes and getting some alone time in the wilderness. So pretty typical, about an hour per mile for me. And you know what, it may vary for you. But before I go, I wanted to say I hope all of you get a chance to get outside this week If you can get outdoors, that would be great. And if you can't, and even if you can, know you can always stop back here and get outdoors with Aaron. All right, until next time.